episode 87. Hello and welcome to the Ignite Youth podcast here at Waynfleet BIC Church, where we discuss life through the lens of our Anabaptist roots. My name's Julie Adams, and I'm joined by our youth pastor, Pastor Wes Hillis.
Hi.
Welcome, Pastor Wes.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I think we're still getting used to this whole video podcast
I
thing.
know.
It's weird because it's just you and me usually, but now
Yes.
it feels like almost like there's
I
another
know.
person in the room.
We're glad to have you here if you're
yes.
watching us.
Yes. So yeah, we're still getting used to it. We're still figuring out our setup and everything else. We had a great response on our first video, which was just absolutely incredible. So thank you for viewing, for watching, for listening, for all of you on SoundCloud or Spotify or
We've
all
just
the other ones that were on.
Amazon and Google, also Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Wow,
and
we're on a lot
SoundCloud.
of things.
Yeah, you can find us everywhere now, all over the World Wide Web.
Oh my goodness. So we were having a conversation before this with Renee and, Renee's daughter Sierra, and they kept saying World Wide Web, and
I said it should be the Waynfleet Wide Web that we're on. Yes.
See what I'm dealing with. But so episode 87. So today we're talking about peer pressure.
Yeah.
How do you kind of deal with peer pressure, and also how do we actually surround ourselves with good community? Because if we're just in the midst of community that is draining us or is just peer pressuring us all the time, it's not healthy for us. Like, we're not actually getting the good influence that we need.
Right.
Iron sharpens iron, and it's really important to be able to have that. And so we're going to talk through that. We're going to talk about it. We're going to probably share some personal stories, and just really go through that. So beginning off with like how to deal with peer pressure, I think one of the biggest places where peer pressure is found, high school.
I would agree.
Without a doubt, high school is one of the worst places for peer pressure.
Yeah.
I remember being in high school and people would peer pressure all the time. Not even to do like bad things, just like even like dumb things like.
So, but you know what? And this, we were made for community, Wes.
Yes, absolutely. No doubt at all. We're made for community.
So I think when we're around people, it's totally natural to want to be part of the group, to want to feel
we want
like
to
you're
fit in.
Yeah.
Yes, we absolutely
That's natural.
We absolutely want to fit in, and we want to feel like we're normal, that we're there. I think each one of us has their own sense of a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And so when that peer pressure happens, we want to instantly react to be like, okay, I can do it. Yep, it's fine. It's all good. Like, I remember
No one wants to be the odd one out.
No one wants to be the odd one out. I remember in high school, one lunch break, for some strange reason, a bunch of people were like, hey, let's like do like the grape game. Where you like throw a grape like really far, and other person's got to catch it in their mouth, and you take farther steps back.
Sounds like a choking hazard to me.
Yes, teachers weren't necessarily happy with it, but I could just went, sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
It turned into a lot bigger of a thing than we ever thought, because what ended up happening was like the full scale of this is a positive story. This is not a negative story. The full scale of like the cafeteria, like there was one group left and they were like tossing it like the whole way, and the guy was still catching his mouth, and it was impressive as could be.
Wow.
But that started all as a group being like, okay, let's do, you do that, you do this, I'll do that. Like, just really peer pressure, like do it.
Yeah.
And, like that one, like I feel like those funny little tiny things that we can do here and there, like a youth group when I know some of the youth like, throw the cushion at Wes, do it.
Yeah.
Like when that happens and I can hear it happening anyways, I'm like, they might as well just do it. Like, I'm gonna laugh at this, but no one do it. But there's also negative sides to peer pressure.
Yes.
There really is. And so I know that our students are dealing with peer pressure every day in their schools. I myself dealt with peer pressure in schools where people were saying, hey, come and try this, or hey, come and skip class, or hey, come and do this. And
it can even be more subtle than that.
It can be.
Like the people that you spend time with, if they're maybe using language that's, I don't know, what would you say? Bad language?
Yeah, just inappropriate language.
Language, like it kind of...
There it goes. I knew it. It wasn't even my side.
All right.
Let's see. We're still getting our setup together.
There we go. Pardon the interruption, guys.
I'm just going to put a hook in your ceiling.
I know, we need a better... If you have a suggestion, a solution for our sign, we're open to your feedback.
Absolutely. If it falls again, we're just going to...
For those who are just listening, our sign has fallen again. So we need a better setup, I guess.
Yep.
We'll get there.
We're figuring it out still. We're still in the early days of... Even though we're on episode 87, we're still in the early days of like the YouTube. Oh, I've aged myself.
Yes. The YouTube that you can find on the Google.
Oh, that felt weird. No. So peer pressure. There are, so you said sometimes it's even subtle. More subtle than that. I think when you're in a group of people, like you said, using, say, inappropriate language, it's almost pressure that you also have to use that language, or pressure that,
well, it rubs off on you. It's like, the old frog in boiling water, right? Like, if the water slowly heats up and next thing you know, you've absorbed some of those habits of the people that you spend the most time with. There's some kind of statistic. I'll have to look it up, or if you know it, you can send it in to us. But you become more like the top 5 people you spend time with.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
That's like a statistic. So who are your top 5 people, right? Are your top 5 people like people that you want to become like, or your top 5 people Jesus?
Yeah.
And, a good influence and so on and so forth. And the list goes on. Right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that we definitely become like the people around us that we're hanging out with. Like like you said, we want to be able to fit in. It's a natural, normal human thing. We're built for community. And so when we're hanging around with a group of people who maybe we know it's not a great group to be hanging around with. Maybe they are smoking, maybe they are doing drugs, maybe they are skipping class, maybe they're being inappropriate, maybe they're doing things, and you're sitting there and you're being like, and they're telling you, hey, like, come and join us, or it's even subtly just being like, oh, here you go, like, just pass it along, like, it's normal, like, you accept us. And but rather people are having these internal struggles where they're saying, I don't agree with this, but I care and I love for these people, what do I do? And my response is, if we care and we love those people, we have to sometimes just stand up and be like, guys, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a party pooper or anything, but I don't want to do this. Like, this is not who I am.
But Wes, that's hard.
It is. Absolutely. It is one of the hardest things to have to stand up for oneself.
Yeah.
It is also one of the greatest things that we can do, because let's be completely honest. I'm sure we've had it before. Like, let me explain it this way. Explain it in a metaphor. When you are in class, when people say there's people in class, a teacher explains the lesson, everything like that, and no one asks a question. Then a few people understand it. They walk out of the class. Okay, perfect, understood, great. Yep. But then there's a group of people who don't understand it at all. They also leave the class. You have one student who says afterwards, hey, I didn't understand this. Yeah. And she says, well, why didn't you put up your hand? I would have been able to explain it again. And so I think
like
that
8 other people were thinking
thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And so what I'm getting at is, even though you may be feeling like, I'm the only one in this group who disagrees with this or I don't want to do this, you are probably not the only one.
Yeah.
To be completely honest.
It's true.
In each and every single one of us, I believe we have a moral compass. Some that are dialed a little tighter and some that are dialed a lot higher than others. It's true.
Yeah.
But I assure you, you're not the only one. And if you are the only one, okay, maybe we need to take a step back. Maybe we need to really evaluate
who you're spending time with.
Who you're spending time with, and are those relationships that you are in right now life-giving or are they life-draining?
Yeah.
I read a... Yeah, you're going to say?
Yeah. So how do we reconcile that with... We've just come off of this Go and Tell series. So aren't we supposed to go and tell?
We are. We were meant to go and tell. We're meant to live out this message that Jesus gives us.
So how do we do that if we are not spending time with...
Okay. So not every testimony needs to be shared. Testimonies can be lived out as well.
Okay.
And if we are spending time with people, and if we are living differently, I think people take notice of that. And now what you're saying is, if we're not spending time with people, how do we actually end up doing that?
How do we impact them? How do we impact spaces that we're not spending time in?
My biggest thing...
spend time in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. But I think there's also a healthy way to step back.
Yeah.
There's a healthy way to step back and be like, I need some space, or I need to be able to step back because I don't agree with everything that's going on here. being able to set that boundary with people and being able to say, I disagree. Like I still love you. I still care for you, but
I'm not
I can't participate in what you guys are doing. You may have some people in that group may say, react like, oh, how dare you, or this. Some people may be like, okay, like why though? And you have that interaction. You have those conversations back and forth where you can talk and be like, these are my values and these are my beliefs, and base where you find your truth off of. For me and you, it's really easy. We say, well, where do we base our truth? We base it in Scripture. Yeah. And if you are a person who bases your truth in Scripture, being able to share that with people and being able to be like, I find my truth here in this verse. I find it gives truth to what we're all going through. And you may have people in that group who you may start to see who may have been feeling the same way as you, but are still feeling the weight of that peer pressure. Be like, you know what? I think you're right. And I think I need to start making that change. And so we can still go and tell to people, but it's different for every situation. Every case is different. Yep. Every case of peer pressure, every case of peer pressure is different. Yeah. And so every way we tell our testimony is different. Whether it's maybe you're saying right now, I don't want to leave that group. I cannot leave that group at all. That's the only group of people I have in my life which are constant. Understood. But maybe you need to be the light on the hill and being like, guys, I'm not going to participate in this. I still want to hang out. I still care and love you, but I'm going to do things differently when we hang out. And they may be okay. All right. Yeah. I remember in high school, fun fact about Wes's high school. So
I love this already. Go ahead.
So I went to a school called Jacob Hespeler Secondary School. You could look it up. It's in Cambridge. It's in Hespeler. That may be confusing. Cambridge is made of 3 towns. Hespeler is one of the towns that it is made up of. So Jacob Hespeler, we had a certain hallway off the 2nd floor foyer. It was called Cocaine Hallway. Oh, that's what it was called. We were known as the drug school.
Oh yeah, I went to that one in Wellington.
We were known as the drug school, which isn't a great title. But I remember hearing stories of people who were very upfront with people they had as friends who always hung out in the drug hallway, always hung out in Cocaine Hallway, who just went, yeah, I'm not into drugs, don't want to do that. And the amount of respect people had for those people were saying, oh, all right, like you're straight up with your values. I understand that. Yeah. We can be friends, but I'm gonna do it around you. And I was shocked by seeing that because I was like, it was not the character that you usually associate or put on people. And so what I'm trying to get at is that when we can actually state our values and state our beliefs and say, guys, it's not what I want to do. I still love you, still want to hang out. Like, you're still a great person. Yeah. I disagree with what we're doing here.
Participate, yeah.
I think we would see a lot more people being like, okay, I understand, and maybe having that dialogue of why, and being able to share those values, being able to share Jesus through that way, I think is really, really important. Now, the other thing we said we were going to talk about was how do we actually surround ourselves with good influence and good community? Yeah. Where do we actually find good community? Yeah. I know right now, in 2 of the high schools that we have in our region, E.L. Crosley and Centennial, both which we have high school students going to, both have a group. It's like Crosley for Christ and then Centennial for Christ. Both groups are meeting and every single week to do a Bible study, to do something. I think Cross for Christ is starting worship at the school that they're doing like during their lunch period, which is absolutely incredible. Yeah. And so if you are listening to this and you go to Crosley and you're like, well, where do I even, like, I didn't even know this was happening. Talk to some of the kids around. They will know where this is and join that community. There are some wonderful and amazing people there. I've been invited to speak, like not to speak, but I brought pizza and like was able to pray with the students and that, which was great. It's a wonderful group. I forget the teacher that's actually running it, but it's okay. Yeah, it's a wonderful and amazing group. Now Centennial for Christ is just started meeting as well. They're a much smaller group, but they're also getting going and they're really starting. I'm gonna toot my own horn. I think we have a really great community here at Wainfleet, like at our youth group. They're fantastic and amazing people. That just they're really living out this message of Jesus. Like I see them and I look at them and I'm like, man, I wish I could just do what you guys are doing sometimes. And it's awesome. And so I encourage people who are listening to this, where if you're unsure of where to find your community, unsure where it is, trust me, there's pockets of it all around you. There's pockets of good community all around you. I'm sure like here on Sunday morning, like Julie, you do book club. You're
Yeah.
in book club.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's a good influence.
Yeah,
That's
we
a
do.
great community for you, and it provides
of
that
fun.
godly community around you.
Yeah, it does.
For I think for both Julie and I, us here, like working here at the church,
It's been a huge blessing.
it's a huge
for sure.
blessing. 'Cause-
Well, and I came from working like in a dental office. That's my previous background. And I worked with a lot of very nice people, but definitely it's, I didn't work with a lot of Christian or people who had faith.
yeah,
And it is nice, I will say.
I think it really makes an impact on your life when you're around fellow believers. Like that scripture verse says, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
It is completely true.
Yeah.
Because I've never noticed my faith or my relationship with God at the point of where it is at before coming and working at Waynfleet. And I think a lot of that reason is because being around this good of influence, being around fellow Christians, you sharpen yourself to say and deepen your relationship with God. Like each of us probably deepen our relationship every single day that we are around each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we're sharpening each other. We're actually helping each other along this in this journey.
And the people that you spend time with tend to be the people that you would go to for advice.
It was going that time. I say we just leave it down.
Sign has fallen again.
A sign has fallen again.
Hopefully there is a brilliant
Julie's side.
Senior.
Julie's side.
This whole thing is Wes. Okay, hopefully there's a brilliant senior or junior high student that will know how to
I'm sure we know some.
set this up.
I'm sure we know
some pre-engineer genius out there.
I'll just call it Richardson.
Anyway, what were we saying before? We've gotten off track.
It's a really good point.
So the people that it is a good point. If I do say so myself, the people that you spend time with tend to be the people that you would go to maybe for some advice. If there's something you're struggling with, or if there's a situation that's on your heart, like you would tend to go to your friends, right? And I know, and I've experienced this in my life because I have both friends here that are Christians, and I do have friends that are pre-Christians, we'll call them. We're working on it. And, sometimes I find the advice I get from non-Christians just doesn't tend to be quite, it has a different lens over it. It's got it doesn't have a Jesus lens over it. And I think that's really important to be careful where you get your advice
Absolutely.
from.
I think that it's a different level of advice. I don't want to say that it means less, but I think what it is it's coming from a different perspective, like you say. It's coming from a different background. And when you have that background as someone as a Jesus follower, I think there's a better understanding and there's a better way of realizing. Like when I talk to my friends who say aren't Jesus followers, they don't really know God at all. They give me advice on things. I'm like, yeah, could do that. And then I hear advice from others who like you guys, like here at the church, and I ask advice and they're like, oh, this. And it's like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah. And I think it's because our values line up. Mm-hmm. And so what I want to do is I want to encourage our listeners we're going to figure that part out too one day we're going to have a signal.
I'm going to give you the controls of my phone to play the music. No, I'm not going to
I was going to say that's risky. But what I want to encourage us to do for all of us, those listening, me and Julie here, is to reach out and be able to find that community. If you need help finding that community, to reach out to us here at the podcast, because we can help get you connected. There's plenty of places to get connected here at Waynfleet. We have an upcoming youth retreat, and if there's anything I've learned from these youth retreats, if you want to get connected to a group, a retreat is probably one of the best ways to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So if you need help finding connection, you can reach out to Wes at waynfleetbic.com. Any of our pastoral staff, or my email address is julie@waynfleetbic.com. So thank you for tuning in today, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week.
Bye.